Okay.
Okay. The December meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is called to order. Reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Entertain a motion to accept unless there's changes that have to be made.
Make motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried, thank you. We'll hold off on the bills and account till Joanne finishes auditing them. Drought emergency.
Well, we still have the alert, so not a ton to report on this since the last meeting. Cooper Lake is still up. We're actually, now that construction is basically done for the year, we have started increasing the elevation above 1096. And as of this afternoon, we were at 1097.5.
And you're gonna try to get it up to what, 1098 or?
1098 for now and potentially 1099.
We've gotten quite a bit of precipitation over the last couple of months. So, I mean, I'm assuming there's water coming in through the intake and.
Yeah, now that the summer is gone, everything's saturated, the mid-hollow continues to flow. It doesn't dry up like it does in July and August, so there's.
And how much
flow.
How much water do you think we're even pulling in there? Is there any way to tell?
There's a meter there. I mean, that meter reads 2 million when it's closed. So, I mean, I think we're getting readings of anywhere from 7 to 10 million a day. But it's basically been open since last Thursday, I think, was when we started increasing the elevation. We're holding 1096 until last Thursday, and we've got another 1.5 since then.
So you just have it wide open or open at this point in time?
Yeah.
Until you get to that point, and then you'll manage it?
Continue to try to maintain.
Before you were kind of on for 12 and off for 12.
Yes, we couldn't go over 1096.
Right.
We had to close it down when we reached 1096. Because they were still doing work.
Okay.
Which kind of leads into Cooper Lake.
Yeah.
Which Friday is officially their last day on site with any kind of construction presence for the season. They're basically just cleaning up the site now for winter. Since the last meeting, what they've been kind of working on is the building. They did install the air compressor, some valves, and they replaced the hatch because it had been delivered with a door that opened incorrectly. That's all been taken care of. And then they're doing some like riprap bedding on the shore. Or we're doing it. I'm not doing anything at this point. It's freezing up there.
Where do we stand with, last meeting you talked about the issue with Central Hudson and the meter, I guess?
Yeah, we're still trying to, I think now they're waiting on Central Hudson to approve the meter pan because they discovered it was a different meter pan, not the one they had originally thought it was going to be. It was single phase instead of 3-phase. We need 3-phase. So now we're waiting on Central Hudson. This one should be much more readily available.
So Central Hudson has to approve, is this like a? They submitted the wrong, they shipped the wrong.
It was never shipped. It wasn't available originally.
Okay.
It was discovered at some point along the lines that it actually should have been a different meter pan.
Okay. So we're
But this
waiting.
one, we've been told by the subcontractor that this new one is far more easily obtained.
And we waiting for Central Hudson to approve this?
Yes.
Okay.
But really, other than supply chain, everything is going fairly well up there.
But at this point in time, that's not going to be installed until
Spring.
the springtime.
Yeah. They could still do some utility poles, depending on the ground. So they have to install 3 utility poles, I believe. So it's currently way too soft So if they get some frost and there's no snow, they could potentially come back and do those 3 poles before they start and go through the full season.
And who's installs that? Our contractor or something?
I think there's subcontractors doing it.
It's our side, not Central
Yeah,
Hudson.
I believe so, yeah.
So then that won't be operational until next year then.
Yes,
We were hoping at some point in time that we'd actually be able to,
the plan was to be on the new water system, but that did not happen. So we're waiting on components to show up and
and have they, I mean, you talked about riprap on the shore. Have they been starting to move earth around on the dam side, the slope side at all, or is that all gonna be?
no, not other than what was already done on the spillway side. There's nothing from the new building over to the spillway is basically at grade at this point.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where they're doing the slopes.
Okay, so that'll all be done next year also, then there's still quite a bit of material they have to ship truck in or.
Yeah, but the plan to do that downstream side of this, that was always to be.
You're right, the last part of the project. Okay. We 2020.
Still waiting on DOA comments, so there's nothing really there, but that was expected to be.
And that's the valves,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Some of that was some of the SCADA system.
There's a small piece of SCADA, but that's not the piece that
Right.
we're waiting.
Golden Hill.
Not much other than, I mean, I sent you guys the new amendment to the GIS. So basically this was to allow Penrose to run the hydraulic model. So CDM put together this memo with a cost, and it's the $14,500. And similar to how we did with the one uptown, we would get the payment from the developer, hold it, and CDM would begin the work. And we would pay CDM directly through this contract that we already have.
So what we're doing is we're adding to this contract
Yeah,
as
so
opposed to,
forcing the developer to go reach a contract with them. We already have the contract. We would do an amendment. Penrose will pay us to do it. And we'll hold the check. And once we have the check in the account, CDM will begin the work.
so the original contract was for 20,000, right? That was
The original contract. Our piece of this. Yeah, so it was. So it's $25,800 was before this, but there was also an amendment in here for the Kingstonian. So amendment number 1 was the Kingstonian model.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have to go back and find that cost as well. So this is the same contract that we use with CDM to have the model run for the Kingston.
Okay, so this is a different contract than we have like a night.
It's the GIS contract, the support contract for GIS.
Okay. So it is the same one.
Yeah, but the total cost of, if you take out the 14.5 and back it out of that 40,300, there's another piece in there that the water department did not pay for, because we got a check from the developer for the Uptown project as well. So I'd have to go back and find that. I don't have that right here.
Because at one point in time, we had the contract was for the IT.
This
GIS.
is completely unrelated to the SCADA support.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's what I'm getting confused.
yeah, no, this is,
That one was like a 20.
yeah, that was the
$1,000.
SCADA support contract. Yeah.
This is completely different. So we need a motion then for this amendment
Yes, so then once we get a check from the developer, I'll see the they can run the model.
Okay,
I'll
so,
make the motion.
okay,
Second,
is there any further discussion? I'm not hearing any, those in favor,
aye,
opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Carried. Have we had any other further discussions about, I mean, I guess this is the next step, is to run this model. But
Yeah, until we get, I mean, they know that this is where we're at in terms of, they said they were gonna get a check to me.
okay.
I haven't seen that yet, so I guess the next step is waiting for the check.
And then after that point in time, I guess we'll have discussions about
With the data sets, yeah.
and what improvements should be made and who's gonna do all of that. Okay. Tech City,
Bills are continuing to be paid. I'll update on their plans moving forward, other than they're aware that they need to come here at some point. I have spoken to the one gentleman, I can't recall his name at the moment, he knows that he needs to come to the water board. But there are no definite plans other than what I see for him.
have you spoken to Supervisor Quigley about,
I did after the last meeting, and
and
he told us really has nothing that would, nothing concrete to tell
so,
what's going on.
so is there a site plan or a site plan meeting that,
that I'm aware of.
I think that they just did that presentation and that was kind of what we read about in the paper, and then that was kind of it at this point.
so is there anything at all that's on paper other than what was kind of in the Freeman? I mean, it was more of a generic overview of housing and the brewery and,
When the three parcels in the back submitted to the planning department sent it to me. Because I had discussed that with Bill at the time. We had sent a letter back to them saying that water is, a gray area out there and it comes from the Kingston Water Department and it's all for. the
right,
entire
the three
parcel.
parcels are the warehouse part.
Right, so when they submitted to planning, so I'm assuming when iPark submits to planning, we will get that information sent to us as well, because they're aware of the situation.
Wasn't there just something in the paper about batteries too or something they were gonna be,
Yeah,
Okay.
Schumer was meeting with,
oh yeah, that need to happen. Talk, but nothing ever happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll kind of wait at this point in time to see what the plans are. And we don't, we're still paying the bill, but we don't have any contract or agreement. Be selling them water at this point in time. But it's probably,
You've done the best you can. I mean, you're putting out notice every time they pay a bill that this is not, we're not acknowledging our obligation to use the service or words to that effect.
and it's kind of premature because we don't know how much water we're gonna need to buy or want to buy or come to us at this point in time. And I mean, right now, we're working off of the Ginsburg's old contract in regards to criteria. And they're meeting that, including the.
yes,
the
they're
minimum.
paying the minimum. Every 3 months, they pay the entire minimum.
I think anything that happens out there, I think, the supervisor is well aware of the limitations.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, it used to be anybody that came for any type of development out there, the first place that would come to would be here. Say, this is what we plan to do, what do you have? And they don't do anything, they just say, we'll just, we won't build it, then.
Oh, maybe, yeah, put the pressure on us or whoever to sell them or give them water. But
As long as you got a document, we're not obligated until.
I'm not sure about yours. I've been looking at so many of those rules and regulations. Does it say that the city is to supply any household, business, whatever, with municipal water
Well, they're not in
within,
the city.
city confines? I know they're not, but I mean,
I mean, if they're in the city,
anybody else, you would have to supply them with water, right?
I don't see, yeah.
yeah, we're
They're
obligated
in the city.
to provide water to residents or users within the city limits. I mean, that's what our charter probably says, right? Correct? So, I mean,
So if Golden Hill puts that in, you have to supply.
yeah, but again,
Well, that they did, they would have to go to our system, I think, because they're currently looking to connect to the county system. Not to the Kingston Water Department's system. Which
So it's a
they
county.
could, but they would have to make it work for them with.
well, what would happen if the county just abandoned their system? Since their system's wholly within the city of Kingston, would we then be obligated?
Yeah, but the customer still has to provide the, the necessary attachments to our system. They have to comply with, your rules and regulations to find the water to them. It's not unlimited. I can't just say, listen, I'm gonna build a building that's gonna require you 1 million gallons of water a day,
Even with that one, though, I mean,
I
the
mean,
amount
I-
of water that they're proposing for that development, 100, how many, 140 units,
160.
160?
Oh, it's not a lot.
Yeah, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we have available.
Which they could potentially connect to our system, but they would need to pay for whatever they, to get their service.
And yeah, a lot of them say it has to be a certain pressure, a certain, for all their fixtures and all that stuff, so it has to be sufficient.
Well, we're obligated to provide, what is it, Jim, 20 PSI
Residual, 20 PSI residual
at where,
at the height.
at the hydrant? Or at the distribution line into
We'll
the,
really, we'll look at more at your highest level. But then we're not responsible for that. They'll have to.
right, I mean, if they went ahead and built a 20-story building, they'd have to put a pump in or something to
We
get the
gotta
water.
go 20 PSI at the street level.
At the street level of the property,
Okay,
that's our obligation. Okay, I guess we're still on a holding pattern. The budget.
You have two other changes. You want to do I put them on my agenda, but you want to do these first? So
Sure, we can do them.
Sorry, the CDM amendment for the work at Voices.
It's the Benny Water CDM.
It's basically to close out as Benny Water. So it's the work at Voices Farm. This would come out of the remaining grant money. So it was the first meter grant. And it's to move a little bit of money around within the budget and to add the $13,803.
So you said here that we have. That money is still available in that
In the
grant.
grant.
Okay, is there, after this, I mean, does this close out everything then, or are we expecting?
This will be the remainder of it. This is-
Okay, because this is kind of. Is this the one that kind of came out of the blue? No, that was Corey Street, which is with Roars. So this does close out. I mean, at some point in time, someone writes a closure.
CDM is working on the closing documents.
Okay.
now. And then we'll be able to finish it off with EFC as well.
Okay, and is there any money left after this?
There was, but it was to the point where we did all we basically put within the written. It was submitted back in 17 maybe. And so this Voices, they were able to fit within. the
Okay,
original
right, yeah,
description of
this
the
was-
grant to use the money. So we used up a large portion of it with the work that was done down there.
So we just don't, I mean, if there's
A new main.
money left over, it just
It's-
it goes back, or it never even
Yeah.
was taken out, it was just.
That it was just grant. So the actual loan portion has already gone to bond. So EFC was able to extend the drawdowns on the grant. So the loan went to bond back in 21. Over a year ago.
So we need a motion for this amendment number 2.
I'll make a motion.
second,
Is there any further discussion? Okay, those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Okay, carried. You also want to do that at
Yeah.
Quarry Street.
And I have a change order from Forest Street. From Roars, so this was for the work that was done up by Bailey. I think it had been expected from Bernier and Larios, and it just took a while for Roars to come in to close everything out. So the $5,061.10 would be completely billable to the school district.
Okay.
So I've already sent that to them in addition to the first bill that they got. So that was their total there, the $129,550. So it's just basically to reflect the actual contracts. It doesn't really affect the department in any way other than to just have the record of an official.
Okay, so we haven't seen any of this money yet
Not
from the
yet,
school
no.
system.
They've acknowledged it. They replied to my email that they got it,
Okay,
and it was far less than we had initially anticipated the cost for them as it was for us.
the ours is 171,848 then,
Yeah,
that was about 300,000. 300,000 then, right? A little over 300.
yeah, that's including the engineering and everything, yeah,
And what,
and materials.
and what were we planning, if that's, remember?
What was the initial? I mean, the bid was 280 from Roars alone,
Oh, okay,
and they only ended up costing 235
okay,
because there was not as much blast. There was no blasting.
right, they,
It was originally bid, everybody thought it was going to be blasting all the way up the street. There was no blasting required.
okay, so we're looking for a motion to
I'll make a motion.
this amendment to what?
Change order.
Change
for
order
Roars
one.
Construction to reflect the total cost of work.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Yeah. Got anything else you want to go over?
I think everything else is on the agenda. So that's the only two things I can have.
Okay,
They were in the packet, but,
Right.
So
okay.
they were kind of minor.
I had them down. Just didn't know what order you want to do them in. Yeah, we can do
Bills.
well, we
Do we have to do bills?
we're gonna go back into the bill, sure. So,
I'll make a motion to accept the bills as presented.
second,
okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay, carried. Okay. Okay, the budget.
So I think everybody got my original draft from 14th of November. And then a week or two later, we got the night shift rates. And they came in significantly higher than MVP had, or I was hoping they would. I think there was a range between this. It was anywhere from 12 to 25%, but not that right, between different steps and plans. So it was quite a bit more than I was anticipating. So that was the change basically from the last time we had a meeting. And this reflects that, and I had sent the updated drafts on the 28th with rates reflected. And that's what you have in front of you, just the only change from that draft, and this one is the year.
All right, this is the December 9th, the most recent one is the December 9th memo.
Yes.
Okay.
Which in terms of the budget itself is identical to the one from then.
Right. Right, with the exception of the
The
hospitalization.
year-to-date number. No, hospitalization was updated on, I sent you guys on
Oh, okay.
November 20th, whatever it
Maybe-
was,
maybe I-
but this is matches that.
Okay. So. when we come down to the end result here, it's a rate increase of 5%, carry the deficit.
Yes.
But you mentioned about, you talked before about the rate schedule, eliminating,
Yes, at the, is it the 100 plus? 40 plus?
40
plus.
I wrote 40 plus, yeah, 40 plus. So if that were to go, then a 4% would accomplish the same.
Somebody
result.
explain that 1% thing there, or that rate change. Would affect
So most of our customers, I have it here,
residents.
so 77% of the customers fall with either in the minimum bill, which is 0 to 4 units, you get that bill regardless of using water at all, just having the meter in the house. You get 0 to 4 units in. Currently it's $52.63. The next step would be your additional 16 units, so that's from 5 to 20. 5 to 20. So anybody that uses rates of water, units of water from 5 to 20, you get an additional $3.72 per unit this right now. So that minimum bill in that first step is 77% of all the customers that we have. And then
Is that the rate you're talking about?
the rate that we could eliminate would be the 40 plus, that's about 6% of the customers. So those first,
And how much consumption is that, the 6% there? That's
those are the big
Big
users, so hospitals, laundromats.
So we're gonna end up having 3 steps then,
There'd be a minimum step and then 2 additional steps. So you have minimum,
0 to 4, 5 to 20,
then everything.
and
will-
20 plus. As opposed to 20 to 39 and then 40.
Then lady will probably like that, right?
She's looking for the other way. She's looking
Yeah, I
to
know.
charge the people who are 40 plus or 20 plus more money than the 0 to 4.
This is trending in direction of it.
Right, we talked years ago. It's almost coming more in line with the way the sewer rates are
Really
calculated.
just doing away with the discount.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Oh, I
the
mean.
more water you use, you
I
pay the
mean-
same as everybody else. is
Right.
I
paying.
mean, sewer has one flat rate. No matter how much your usage is, and I think at some point in time, we're gonna eventually get there, or get there close, so. So is that, what we wanna do?
And that would bring the budget down to 4%.
Yes,
Yeah, the increase. And that's taking how many, we had 100,000 proposed to take inter-fund transfer, taking out of savings.
yeah, so that was money that was kind of set aside for Cooper. To reduce the impact of those large payments,
Right,
so that's in the capital. So it's in, I guess it's savings, yes, this is not.
but that 100,000 could either coming out of capital improvements or the regular checking account, 'cause
Right, so.
both of them are over a million.
Yes,
Or thereabouts. I mean, the
Yes.
capital improvement one is like 1.4, I feel like.
1.41.
Right. Okay, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to, I guess.
Okay, we just talked
Yeah,
about,
okay.
you know, so the 6% will be paying, that pays like 20% of the budget, right? So. $1 million or approximately.
Following,
Well, yeah. 6%, but it's going down a percentage, right? Oh, 1% it's only going, I was thinking it was going
so it's
down
about,
10%.
it would be another $50,000 from those 6%.
No problem. I was doing 10%.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a bigger hit.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. So a motion to accept the budget as presented, I guess, or I guess you're gonna have to pop in a new number in
I think in the past, I think we've done
the rate increase
the
first.
rate increase of
You
four
have to,
percent,
but you can't pass it without the budget.
Okay,
and then a motion to eliminate the step of 40 plus. I think that's how we've done it in the past.
okay, so two different motions.
Yes,
Just-
that's how we did. What we did
Okay,
this.
so I guess entertain a motion to eliminate the 40 plus
rate step.
rate.
I'll make that motion.
second,
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, those in favor?
aye,
Eliminating that?
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? And so then, that's motion number one. Motion number two is for a rate increase of 4% on water sales.
Will that amount erase the deficit?
Yes.
Yes,
I'll make a motion to have a rate increase of 4%.
Second.
okay. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then three is approving the budget. All right. And presented or with the change, the rate increase changes or the changes discussed.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget.
As
As
amended.
As
amended.
amended. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll
second,
All in favor?
aye,
Opposed? And thank you. Painful as that sometimes seems.
Yeah.
Huh? The bigger that's gonna come. The Dickens gonna have to figure it out, right? Once
Yeah,
everything comes to,
Cooper Lake is ready for bonding. We'll go up again.
and when is that?
Hard to say,
Okay,
because we're waiting on EFC money and how they're gonna handle this, because it's different than. It's already halfway through construction, so it's
okay.
gonna, I'm not sure exactly what they're gonna do in terms of starting the timetable and bonding and. All that good stuff.
And we haven't heard anything. Have you had any discussions with Schnabel about hearing future grants for the dam work or anything?
There is some more money out there for design, the DEC announced, it's not a big pot, so we're gonna do that again.
Okay,
It came through,
and nothing
This
on
week.
the construction end,
no, other than EFC, which
right?
was.
Which is just a loan as opposed to a grant.
There's a grant for the 3 million, I believe it was.
Okay,
You
And then-
have that city money too. You can figure out.
When is it?
100,000.
Oh, there's a meeting on ARPA funds next week, I believe,
and what's that one?
the ARPA relief funds.
Oh, okay. Okay. Moving on then. Correspondence.
Just that one letter I included with a draft response back. Look forward to look at since it was. The letter was addressed to the board. Regarding the rate schedule.
Is it worth mentioning about, it kind of says it was a self-made emergency or something here, right? Looking for online.
Man-made,
Yeah, we have been in a drought emergency for several months despite barely reaching abnormal dry conditions for rainfall amounts. It's obvious that the emergency is man-made. And is she aware that? I mean, she's right. It was man-made, but the fact that we were
federally mandated, state mandated.
State mandated to repair our dam, which required us to artificially lower the reservoir by 10 feet in order to do construction. And, you know, it might be important to let her know that it wasn't man-made because we mismanaged things. It was maybe man-made because we were put in that position.
I can have that in there. That's not bad.
Okay.
That was in every article in the paper. Every-
Yeah, but
It doesn't matter.
Everybody knew that.
well, I don't think she does. So, you don't need anything from us on this,
I
right?
don't think so.
Okay. Okay. That's the only correspondence, superintendent's report, I guess. Well,
Maybe a person just moved here. Maybe she's new or something. Did anybody know this person at all?
no,
Yeah, that maybe, I said maybe they just moved here and they never, and then they don't read the briefing, you know, so they wouldn't know anything about the work that they're going to relate unless they're going to go to the website. Just,
Came out of a cave or something. Or something.
yeah, just try to benefit it out. That's the only thing I can think of.
yeah, because actually we're
Yeah,
a couple inches above normal today,
I know.
right?
In terms of total rainfall.
Yeah, total rain.
We are, the problem with that is that average goes so many years back. And what we're doing now is we're getting 3-4 inches at a time,
Right,
which in the
Well-
middle of July and August does us no good at all.
Yeah,
well,
Because we get none of that water. It
at some
dries
point in
out
time,
12
would it
hours.
be worth to change our calculations and, you know, use the last 20 years average as opposed to the last 100 years average? I mean, I was watching some show, news show, and it had like the average temperature compared to the, you know, this is the temperature today compared to the average temperature, and they made it seem like they did it in like 30-year blocks. So that you weren't comparing the temperature today or the average temperature today to 1860 or something. You were comparing it from within the last 30 years. So it might,
It's really, it comes down to, I mean, this summer was more the daily average was the problem. We had massive storms that hit,
right, and we're
and all
kind of,
that rain dries up.
with climate change, we're kind of aware, we've been talking about that for
We get an inch a day, we're good. We get 4 inches in one day.
a day, and half of it,
Yeah, just it goes into the ground.
or some money we can't take part of it, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess a motion to accept the superintendent's report.
I'll make
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, those in
I,
favor?
Aye.
Okay. You have a personnel issue?
Yeah, before I know I wrote that memo, but can we go into,
Executive session?
yeah,
Okay. So motion to go into executive session?
Personnel issue, I'll make,
Motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor of going into executive session?
aye.
Thanks, opposed? Okay. Okay. Those in favor of coming out? Aye. Okay, we're out of executive session, back into normal session. And so we have discuss a personnel issue, so have, I guess, need a motion to offer a position to Daniel Brown?
Nathaniel.
No, Nathaniel. Okay.
I'll make a motion to make an offer to Nathaniel Brown for the water plant operator trainee position at $47,456. $1,000 per year. Start date of 1/3/2023.
Okay, do I have a second? That motion? Okay, any further discussion? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Before we adjourn, the only other thing was, we move at all on
No.
the
So-
water.
So I wasn't 100% sure about kind of which way we wanted to go. As far as not allowing them or allowing them or, addressing like point wells and all that stuff. On the side though, I reached out to the plumbing department or plumbing inspector. and spoke to him. Now, this probably next week, they're having a board meeting about septics and it's kind of similar. They have a septic and they have no public sewer. We have water with no, or well with no public service. But now this one that I kind of fits us pretty good. It's like no owner of any house, building, or property used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, education, or other purposes that are situated within the corporate limits of the city of Kingston shall be allowed to construct, dig, install, use a water well on such property. In addition, no owner of any house, building, or property used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, education, or other purpose that is situated within the corporate limits of the city of Kingston shall be allowed to supply such property with water from a well of any type, but must be connected to such property to the city's water supply and distribution system. And then I put a little add on here. If for any reason this is not possible, it will be left to the water superintendent to allow or not allow. What do you think about that?
Superintendent or the board?
Whichever, I just threw that in there. I mean, even,
Yeah, I think we need to allow the,
Can I see that?
yeah, I mean, our attorney's gonna have to obviously.
oh, yeah.
Before.
Well, there's some others and it's like, where water is not supplied from a public source, the source and system utilized shall be approved by the superintendent of the water department, or you could put the board there too. I mean, that gives you, in talking to the plumbing department, they have areas where they don't have sewers. And I think the city still has areas where we don't have water. So this still allows that property to be developed, but if they put a well in, they can't put city water in. And, and then for some other areas like the point wells, it says even if you're not cross-connected, like a point well, you still have to put a backflow preventer.
You don't have to put backflow preventers in anyway, you need special wording for that.
No, I mean, a point well, they don't. A point well, you just drive a stake in the ground, it gets water out, and go to a pump and that they're long. It's not tied into the city water system, but you can legislate that they have to put a point well in at the entrance of your property from the public, even if it's not connected. If you wanted to go that way, so there's some options here that. What does everybody think?
I mean, I still think we need to find some sort of middle ground.
That's what I,
Because we have people that have point wells already, and I do think that in the future, there may be reasons why that they should exist. But there does need to be, I agree that they shouldn't be anywhere near connected to the system.
right.
There should be a fee associated with that.
Nate, there's ones that tell you, what kind of money,
Yeah,
when they
I
get.
think having a backflow preventer also makes sure that it's not just someone that's gonna do a fly-by-night kind of system at their home. So,
And if you have a well and you're tying to the municipal water, why? I mean, you should.
Oh, yeah, you
allow
shouldn't,
it. You
no,
should.
that
use
shouldn't be
municipal
allowed.
water, and that would address the issue that you had, right?
I'm still having that issue.
Would that address that if he has a well,
I mean, I think.
or he can't have a
I
well?
think the letters I've sent him already address that because the health department's telling him he needs to disconnect it, but that's,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, and
Where do they stand with
If
that?
there's a physical connection to his water service, it's appropriate. He would need to hire a licensed operator for them to
and
carry.
that's addressed in here too, fines, how long they get, everything. I mean, every issue that you talked about.
If he had a licensed operator in his house, the health department wouldn't care at that point because we have nothing in our rules and regs. But since he does not have a licensed operator and he has drilled a well, he's in violation of Part 5.
And it was never approved by you? or-
We didn't know about it. We showed up.
Then see, that's total violation. I mean, anything.
Does the county have a county reg, sanitary reg on wells?
I believe his comment was yes, but they would basically just make him pay whatever charge you would need to pay. So it'd be like a retroactive payment. They wouldn't
They wouldn't be
really
able
do
to
anything that would
deny them.
make him abandon it or anything. It would just be maybe some fines. So
Well, I know
file the paperwork to do this.
part of the requirement for them to probably have approval of wells is to make sure that the wells have proper separation for sanitary purposes. Now, again, being within the city, with city sewer, there's probably none of the limitations are going to apply anyway. But it's more or less the fact that we don't want to connect it.
Yeah.
See, and this one, this is some of those. Minutes back. Any owner having a private well or other private water source must obtain approval from the department if the well or source is cross-connected to the department system. He never came for any approval, so
Yeah, but
you didn't have that in.
but there's no regulation. That's the
Right,
point
well,
that
that's.
he was making.
Put all these in it. And it says permission to cross-connect may be denied by the department. So you can.
So I guess there's two issues. One is what are we gonna do about this guy who's currently got this well? And the second one is getting
Something in that.
some regulations on the books for future concerns.
I mean, I think maybe officially we could take that draft that Jim has put together there to maybe kind of format it to Kingston's standards. I mean, that's maybe we could review at the next meeting, at least kind of have a working draft.
And they invited me to come to the plumbing board meeting, and, you know, and they do this code all the time, it's a 60 code. Maybe they can figure out something that would help us too, you know?
Okay, so you're going to that meeting
Yeah, and he invited me, he said, I must.
When is that? next week sometime?
You wanna go?
Yeah, just send me a note when it is. and
Cause he's
I'll
gonna
say-
contact me and let me know.
Okay, yeah, that'll be good. And then, yeah, maybe we can, and then once we get something that's we're comfortable with, they'll review it.
Right,
Approve
and,
it.
and it'll tie in with those, whatever they're trying to do with their septic
Septic.
too, it'll be kind of.
Do we have any idea how many wells that we do have that?
But there's the one in here that they have to tell you too, and regulate it and tell you
Well, I think we do want,
what the pressure is, how deep it is, they've gotta tell you all that.
that was the, what you kind of got
Yeah.
from Newburgh was the registration of water wells, you know. Each owner of a water well within the city shall register the superintendent and. Yeah, you know, probably should, you know, in there, make them all have, well, obviously, if they're not connected to the city system. There's no backflow.
No, but this here, it said that they have a well on their property, like a point well, they need to put a backflow on their service. Doesn't even matter if it's not.
Well,
If you-
Okay, yeah, that's,
These are municipalities that they have that on the books, so.
and these are from where'd you get all these from?
They're all different cities around Kingston, like this is City of Beacon, which has the most
Okay,
involved one, especially on cross connections and stuff, and this one.
well, we have a cross connection
Yes.
section in our code,
City of Middletown,
right?
Yeah.
Albany.
Maybe you can dig that out and send both Jim and I. That.
But I went through a lot of them don't say any. So they're way behind.
We have a,
And I even looked at some cities our size or bigger. I want to mean,
yeah. I guess it's just one of those things that you just
even
assume.
Albany is like a really quick, short thing, but they might have another set of rules and regulations when they go and get their permit. You know what I mean? So,
Is there any, do we have any idea how many wells that might be out there that don't have connection to our system?
How many on Roosevelt?
Oh, point wells?
Oh, that's quite well, but
The regular wells, you know, that, I think the development off of First Avenue, the whole project down the lane there outside the city a little bit, still in the city. They have wells and they have septics and they have all that, and there's still property, there's a development down there and everything. They,
I think there's a handful of properties that get just sewer
Sewer.
and
They
no
would
water.
yeah, see, so
Sewer
that,
department.
Would know,
Mhm.
okay.
and if there's still land there, that
You
might
can
develop.
see who they are and then see what, they might be hooked to the town of Ulster for water, but probably they're on well.
Well, I know we had something like off at Tammy Street, that was an issue. I think they just ran some long service lines. Because the distribution line didn't go down.
Like Chapel Street, you might find one or two.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
There's
because
land up there, right?
they didn't want to come to the water, they were able to drill wells because they were so far from the main.
Right, I'm sure we basically said at some point in time,
Yeah,
we can't serve you. And if you want to develop your piece of property, you have to drill your own
well.
well.
But we would allow them, I mean, we would. Because they couldn't get to us, then they were allowed by us to do that well. Like, we
Right,
would
but we
give
don't have a
them-
record of who those properties are.
I don't,
I mean, we should,
Unless they happen to be on sewer and we look, see who gets bill from us with no water on it.
yeah, there's
I
people.
mean, it's probably, if they're not on water, they're probably not on sewer. And
I don't, yeah.
yeah, I can't imagine you're running a sewer line. If you can't run a water line, you're not gonna be running a sewer line probably. Chances are it's,
There's a couple accounts, because and I
Right, so-
probably have it in my. Somewhere in an email, but I have to give them some information. Because they'll bill for sewer.
okay,
They don't get,
they don't get a water.
yeah, it's weird, yeah,
Okay.
not a handful, it's not many. Yeah, it's the outskirts.
Well, maybe you guys can contact the sewer department and just,
Oh, God.
and see if,
Yeah, who they bill. For sewer.
and
not
Okay.
water.
without water.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause-
you should do some kind of register about who has wells, how deep they are, where they are, if they're used, not used, if they're not used, they should be disconnected, whatever, you know. Just to keep a thing on your quality of water, big.
Like First Avenue has, some people have water. But they don't have sewer because the sewer doesn't go that far.
And then there's some other ones you say that actually have sewer,
Yeah,
but don't have water.
yeah,
So yeah, we should try to get
it's a little, yeah,
at least a list of those properties.
I can get it.
Okay. So you and I will attend this meeting
Yeah, it should be
Right.
next week, I don't know
Okay.
what days they,
and then
he's gonna let you know.
maybe I'll even try to give Tim Rose a call about what county regs they have about that. But you got the impression that they wouldn't be doing much about it anyway.
I mean, if he wasn't connected, then it wouldn't be a problem for the health department.
But I think we can probably do the fact that. I'll have to look at our cross connection control regs, so if you send us those updated version of what we have on record.
Well, don't they have to come to the water department to be, bring their plan? Like with the backflow and have it signed off on by? the
If
department?
they, so the one that we found, he did do a backflow,
Yeah, but did he?
but they didn't tell us on the plans that it was for a well. We went there and the plumber who was hired to do the backflow said, do you know what this is protecting? And he walked Ryan over to the well and showed him the well cap.
Oh, okay, so he did apply
He did do a backflow, so he did what he thought was required.
prior, okay.
But he didn't tell him the water was coming out of the well also. But see that, no wells allowed if they're being supplied by the municipality. I mean, that's a pretty standard rule in all these
All right, well,
ones I've listened to.
to date, it doesn't apply to city of Kingston at this point in time until we get it on the books.
That's how it happens, right?
Live and learn, I guess. Okay, well, we'll continue to work on it, hopefully maybe by first of the year, we'll.
We could always make fees in there that,
Well,
if you
yeah.
have a well, you're gonna have to show us it's been inspected every year and passes the quality of the water, because you can't just.
Well, if it's protected with a backflow prevention device, then. That should be inspected year. So there's a fee involved with that. I mean, all our backflow prevention devices are supposed to be inspected
Right.
Annually.
annually, and they're supposed to send us a copy of the report.
And they're
Again, I don't know
saying-
how far on top of that we are.
We are very.
They're-
Okay, good. That's good.
And
to
there's
hear.
things in here that,
So, I mean, he's got an ongoing bill associated with this well that he has to continue to pay with doing the backflow prevention device inspections. I mean, not that cheap. I mean, they're.
how much are they?
Professional inspection, I think they're like 75 to
It's
100.
$100.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Barry Coral because him and Danny had that business and we had a couple of businesses that when I managed, they were doing
Yeah.
backflow inspections. They made arrangements for me to get in to do their inspections and I think, yeah. Because we would get the bill.
Yeah.
You know,
75 to
Yeah.
125 now.
yeah, depending on the size of the device, and they were pretty big devices. Okay. Guess nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Paul. You have
Merry Christmas.